I never believed houses could hold onto the people who lived in them until Daniel died. I'm a practical person, 34 years old, worked as a medical records analyst for 8 years in Tacoma, Washington. Now I can't stop thinking about those months when my home became a nightmare I couldn't escape. Before we continue, take a moment to say hi in the comments and tell us your location. It's always amazing to see where our viewers are from. And remember, subscribing means you'll be the first to know whenever we drop new videos. This was back in March of 2023, about 6 months after Daniel's car accident. We'd been married for 8 years, living in this early 1900s craftsman home with creaky floors and drafty windows. My sister Naomi had stayed with me for 2 months after the funeral, but by February she had to get back to her life in Portland. I told her I was ready. I was. Daniel had always been a night owl. He'd come to bed around midnight after gaming in the living room. I'd gotten so used to waking up slightly when he'd slide under the covers, feeling that familiar dip in the mattress on his side. After he died, my body kept the same pattern, waking at those exact times, staring at his empty pillow. The first time it happened was Thursday night, March 9th, around 11:47 p.m. I was already asleep when I felt that weight settling onto Daniel's side of the bed. My first drowsy thought was relief. He's home. Then I fully woke up. Daniel was dead. He'd been dead for 6 months. I lay there completely frozen, heart pounding. The bedroom was dark except for streetlight glow through the curtains. I finally rolled over fast and grabbed my phone for light. The bed was empty. I touched the mattress where I'd felt the weight. Nothing. Cool sheets. No indentation. It happened again 2 nights later. Same time. That unmistakable feeling of someone getting into bed beside me. I could have sworn the covers lifted slightly. I sat up immediately, turning on the lamp. Empty. Always empty. I called Naomi the next morning. She gently suggested the grief counselor. "Your mind is playing tricks," she said. "Your brain is filling in the gaps. It's completely normal." But it kept happening. Every few nights, always between 11:30 p.m. and midnight. Always that sensation of weight on the mattress, someone settling in beside me. Then in mid-April, it started spreading. I was making coffee one morning, standing at the counter, when I felt warmth behind me. Body warmth. The kind you feel when someone's standing close. Daniel used to sneak up behind me every morning and hug me while I made coffee. I spun around so fast I knocked my mug off the counter. It shattered on the tile. Nobody there. Just my empty kitchen and broken ceramic. That same week, I was brushing my teeth before bed when I saw him in the mirror. Not a reflection, an image in the tiles on the wall behind me. Daniel's face, just for a split second, there in the pattern of the white subway tiles. I jerked backwards so violently, I nearly cracked my head on the sink. When I looked again, just tiles. Just grout lines making random patterns. But I knew what I'd seen. After that, it was everywhere. I'd feel someone sitting next to me on the couch while I watched TV. I'd sense movement in my peripheral vision, turn my head, nothing there. The bathroom was the worst. I kept seeing shapes in those tiles. Daniel's profile, his hand, his shoulder, always dissolving back into meaningless patterns the moment I focused. I called Naomi crying. "I'm seeing him everywhere, not just the bedroom anymore, everywhere." She drove up the next day, walked through every room with me. She stared at those bathroom tiles for 10 minutes. "It's just tiles," she kept saying gently. "Your grief is making patterns into faces. It's called pareidolia. It's normal." But it didn't feel normal. It felt like I was losing my mind. After Naomi left, I couldn't be in the house anymore. Every room felt occupied. I'd be cooking dinner and feel that warmth behind me again, spin around to empty air. I'd catch movement in my peripheral vision that vanished when I looked. I started sleeping in my car. At first, just some nights. I'd grab a blanket and pillow around 10 p.m. and sit in my car in the driveway with the doors locked, trying to sleep in the driver's seat. At least in the car, I was alone. No tiles to see faces in, no couch where I'd feel phantom weight, no kitchen where warmth crept up behind me. By late April, I was sleeping in the car every single night. I'd come home from work, make dinner standing up because I couldn't sit at our table anymore, then go outside. Neighbors started noticing. Mrs. Patterson asked if my car was broken. I told her I was making work calls. She didn't believe me. I looked like I was losing my mind because I was losing my mind. I'd lost 15 pounds. My boss asked if everything was okay. I didn't know how to answer. The night everything changed was April 23rd, our anniversary, 9 years. Around 10 p.m., I was sitting in my car in the driveway wrapped in a blanket when I realized how insane this was. I was homeless in my own driveway, sleeping in my car every night because I was terrified of my own house. I got out and went back inside. I walked through the whole house, turning on every light. I stood in the bathroom and stared at those tiles, daring them to show me his face. I sat on the couch waiting to feel weight beside me. I stood in the kitchen with my back to the room, waiting for warmth. Nothing happened. Then I went to the bedroom and got into bed, and I waited. At 11:52 p.m. I felt it again, but this time was different. This time, along with the weight, I felt warmth, the kind a human body radiates, like someone was lying right next to me. Every muscle locked up. I could almost hear breathing, soft and rhythmic, the way Daniel used to breathe falling asleep. Then I felt the lightest touch on my shoulder, like fingertips, gentle and familiar. And instead of screaming, I started talking. "Daniel, if that's somehow you, you're scaring me. I love you. I miss you every single day, but I can't keep living like this. I can't sleep in my car anymore. I can't keep seeing you in the tiles and feeling you everywhere in our house. I need you to stop. I need to be able to live here again. Please. If you love me, if any part of you is still here, please let me go." I meant every word. The warmth faded. The weight lifted, and the room felt emptier than it ever had before. That was 8 months ago. It never happened again after that night. No more weight on the mattress, no more phantom warmth, no more shapes in the bathroom tiles, no more presence on the couch or in the kitchen. The house became just a house again, quiet and empty and mine. I still don't know what to believe. My rational mind says it was grief creating physical sensations everywhere I looked. But part of me wonders if it really was him, trying to stay, following me from room to room, not understanding why I couldn't see him. And if that's true, maybe he heard me that last night. Maybe he understood that the kindest thing he could do was let me go. I still sleep on my side of the bed, and sometimes on our anniversary or his birthday, I'll say goodnight to the empty room just in case. Trust your grief, but also trust yourself. There's a difference between honoring someone's memory and being haunted by it. Even the deepest love has to make room for the living to keep living. Looking back, I should have called the police the moment I heard that voicemail. But I was 28 and living alone for the first time in a new country, and I thought there had to be a logical explanation. There was. This happened in October of 2022 in Aarhus, Denmark. I'd moved there in August for a remote software developer job, renting this older house in the Trajborg neighborhood, one of those early 1900s homes with a big front porch and way too many rooms for one person. I've always been pretty independent, maybe too comfortable with solitude for my own good. Here's the thing you need to understand about my family: we're extremely close, like almost every night close. My brother Den was 3 years younger, 25, still living back home with our mom in Copenhagen, about 3 hours away. We'd do video calls practically every evening, sometimes with mom, sometimes just the two of us. We'd game online together, talk about nothing and everything. It was our routine. Our family has always been like that, tight-knit, constantly checking in, always connected. Den was going through a rough patch that fall. His girlfriend of 4 years had left him in September, and even though he tried to play it off, I could see in our video calls he was struggling. Den was the type to bottle everything up. Friday night, October 14th. I just gotten off a video call with Den and Mom around 7 p.m. We talked for maybe 45 minutes normal stuff, Mom asking about my new place, Den telling a story about something stupid his coworker did. He seemed fine, maybe a little tired but fine. We laughed together. I'd literally seen his face on my screen less than 3 hours earlier. I was working late on a project deadline, finishing around 9:30. I made some pasta, opened a beer, and was settling in to watch something on Netflix when my phone buzzed. Missed call from Den. No big deal, he pocket dialed me sometimes. But then I saw he'd left a voicemail, which was weird. We never left voicemails. If it's important, you text or call back. I was about to just call him back when something made me hit play instead. The voicemail was 47 seconds long. At first just silence, maybe some faint rustling like the phone was in his pocket. Then I heard a voice that sounded like Den but distant and muffled. Inside now, can you, she does. The audio quality was terrible, breaking up, but I definitely heard him say my name once, clear as day, Jason. Then more silence, shuffling sounds, and it cut off. I called him back immediately. 4 rings, voicemail. I tried again, same thing. By the 4th attempt I was getting worried. This didn't make sense. I'd literally just talked to him. I sent a text. Got your voicemail, you okay, call me back. Then I did what I always did. When something felt off, I called Mom. She answered on the 2nd ring. Jason, everything okay? You just called a couple hours ago. Yeah, I know. Is Den home? Is he with you right now? Of course he's home. He's in his room. Why, what's wrong? My stomach did this weird flip. Can you check? Can you actually go look and make sure he's there? Jason, you're scaring me. What's going on? Please, Mom, just check. I heard her footsteps through the phone, heard her knock on Den's door, heard it open. Den, your brother wants to know if you're okay. Did you call him? I heard Den's voice in the background, confused. What? No, I'm playing a game. Why? Mom came back on. He's right here, he's fine, what happened? I didn't know how to explain. He called me, left a weird voicemail, never mind, I'm probably just tired, sorry for worrying you. But I wasn't tired, and something was very wrong. I hung up with Mom and played the voicemail again, this time with the volume all the way up. That's when I caught it in the background, underneath Den's voice, there was another sound. A creaking sound, long and drawn out like weight on old floorboards. My blood went cold because I recognized that sound. The floorboards in my hallway made that exact noise. This house was built in 1924, and those floors had a very specific, distinctive creak, especially right outside my bedroom door. But that was impossible. Den was in Copenhagen with Mom. I just confirmed he was there in his room, safe. There was no way he was in my house. I sat there frozen, phone in my hand, trying to make sense of it. Maybe my brain was pattern matching, hearing something familiar in random noise. Maybe lots of old houses sounded like that. Then my phone buzzed, text from Den, sorry, wrong number. I stared at that message. Wrong number, he'd called me. He said my name in the voicemail. And Den always used proper punctuation, he was weirdly particular about it, always made fun of people who didn't capitalize. This was all lowercase, no period, no apostrophe. It didn't even sound like him. I called him again, this time straight to voicemail like his phone was off. That's when I heard it, from somewhere in my house, that same creaking floorboard. I grabbed the remote and muted the TV. Complete silence. I held my breath. There again, that distinctive creak from the hallway that led to the bedrooms. Someone was in my house. I called out, Den, is that you? This isn't funny. If you're trying to surprise me, you need to say something right now. No response, just dead silence. I stood up slowly, grabbing my phone and car keys. I was trying to decide whether to run for the front door when I heard it. My bedroom door, which I always left open, clicked shut. I ran out the front door and into my car in maybe 10 seconds, hands shaking so badly I could barely start the engine. I drove to the end of the block and called the police. 2 officers arrived within 10 minutes. They checked every room, every closet, the basement, the attic access. Nothing. No broken windows, no forced doors. No one there. "Probably just the house settling," one officer said. "These old places make noise." Nothing was missing or disturbed. After they left, I sat in my car for another hour before going back inside. I turned on every light and dragged a chair in front of my bedroom door. The next morning I called Mom again. "Is Den okay? Is he still there?" "Jason, what is going on with you?" "Yes, he's still here. He's been here all night. Are you okay?" I almost told her everything. But how do you explain that you got a voicemail from your brother who was definitely at home with your mother? How do you explain hearing floorboards that sounded exactly like your house, 3 hours away? I checked Den's social media. He'd posted a gaming screenshot at 10:15 p.m. with the caption, "Still grinding," from his room in Copenhagen. The police never found an explanation. No fingerprints, no evidence of entry. The voicemail exists, I still have it saved, though I can't bring myself to listen to it anymore. The text message exists in my phone. I moved out of that house in January 2023, told people it was for a better job in another city, which was true, but that wasn't the real reason. I still don't know who called me from Den's phone that night. I don't know who sent that text message. And I really don't know if someone was actually in my house, or if fear just made me hear things that weren't there. But I know what I heard in that voicemail. I know what those floorboards sounded like. And I know my brother was 3 hours away the entire time. Some things don't have explanations. You just have to decide whether you're going to drive yourself crazy looking for answers or accept the mystery and move on. I chose to move on. But I never leave my doors unlocked anymore. And I always check my call logs before bed. I'm not the kind of person who questions doctors, which is why what happened at St. Michael's Medical Center still keeps me up at night. I was 31 at the time, working as a high school chemistry teacher in Newark, New Jersey, and I'd been having these awful abdominal pains for about 3 months. This was back in June of 2024. My doctor, Dr. Scott, had run every test imaginable: ultrasounds, CT scans, blood work, and endoscopy. Nothing came back with a clear answer, but the pain kept getting worse. She finally referred me to a surgeon, Dr. Patricia Wolf, who suspected adhesions from an old appendectomy, scar tissue causing problems years later. Dr. Wolf recommended exploratory laparoscopic surgery, going in with a camera to look and remove any scar tissue. Routine, minimally invasive, home the same day. I'd never had surgery under general anesthesia before, so I was nervous, but everyone said it was no big deal. They scheduled it for Thursday, June 13th. My friend Rachel drove me to the hospital at 6:30 a.m. Pre-op was standard gown, IV, meeting the anesthesiologist Dr. Kumar. He was calm and professional, explained he'd give me propofol and other medications to keep me asleep and pain-free. Everything seemed normal. Dr. Wolf came by around 7:45, confident and friendly. Said it would take 45 minutes to an hour. They wheeled me back at 8:10. The OR was freezing and incredibly bright. Someone told me to take deep breaths as Dr. Kumar hooked something to my IV. It burned a little going in. Someone said count backward from 10. I got to 7 before everything went dark. What happened next I didn't tell anyone for weeks because I was convinced it was a dream. But the more time passes, the more certain I am it was real. I became aware gradually, like surfacing from deep water. At first, all I could hear were voices, beeping machines, the hiss of the ventilator. But I couldn't move, couldn't open my eyes, couldn't make any sound. My body was completely unresponsive, like I was trapped inside it. This is called anesthesia awareness when the paralytic works, but the anesthetic isn't deep enough. It's supposed to be incredibly rare. The first voice I heard clearly was Dr. Wolf, and she did not sound calm. I've never seen anything like this before. Kumar, she's metabolizing the anesthesia too fast. Look at her BP. My heart, if it could have, would have stopped. What did they see? Was I going to die? I became terrified, more scared than I'd ever been. I wanted to scream, to signal that I could hear them, that I was awake. Dr. Kumar tense. I've already given her twice the normal dose. She should be completely under. Well, she's clearly not stable. Look at these readings. I thought for sure they'd notice I was awake. My blood pressure had to be skyrocketing from panic. They were literally discussing it, but they kept talking like I couldn't hear every word. Part of me wished they'd use medical terminology, Latin terms, technical jargon I wouldn't understand. But they kept speaking in plain English, and every word was crystal clear. Then another voice, Doctor, you need to see this, now. Pause, then Dr. Wolf. What the hell, that's not Kumar, are you seeing this? That's not possible, Dr. Kumar said, genuinely shaken. The pulling sensation inside me stopped. Silence except for beeping machines. My mind screamed questions. What did they find? What's inside me? Dr. Wolf barely above a whisper. Someone get Dr. Richardson. Now, we need real-time imaging on this immediately. Should we wake her up? Dr. Kumar asked. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. And tell her what exactly, Dr. Wolf snapped. We don't even know what we're looking at. A nurse, her scans were normal, all of them. There was nothing like this on any imaging. Then where did it come from? Dr. Wolf's voice sharp with fear. This didn't just appear. Look at the vascularization, it has a major blood supply. The tissue structure here is completely wrong. At that moment, I felt a strange relief wash over me, even through the terror. I was glad I'd woken up. Glad I could hear this. Because Dr. Wolf was clearly deciding whether to tell me the truth, and from the sound of it, she was leaning toward hiding whatever they'd found. Dr. Kumar, could it be some kind of teratoma, a developmental abnormality? It has vascular integration, Dr. Wolf cut him off. The structure, I've never seen tissue organized like this. That's when I felt it, like someone touched something deep inside me that had nerve endings, and those nerves lit up. Not exactly pain, but intense and completely wrong. Dr. Wolf gasped. Did you see that? Tell me you all saw that move. Involuntary muscle contraction, Dr. Kumar said, unconvinced. That wasn't muscle. Muscles don't move like that. I could feel the fear in the room. More people entered, new voices, equipment moving. An older male voice. Patricia, what's the situation? Dr. Richardson, thank God. Look at this and tell me what you think. Long silence. Then, how long has the patient had this? We don't know. 3 months of pain. All imaging showed nothing remarkable. This is not nothing remarkable, Dr. Richardson said slowly. Where is it connected? Multiple systems. Cardiovascular, lymphatic, possibly neural. I don't know where to begin removing it, or if I should. Does the patient know she has this? She's never been told anything unusual. Then how is she alive and functional? He stopped abruptly. We need to close her up. Now, we're not equipped for this. What do I tell her when she wakes up? You tell her you found adhesions, removed what you could, and she should feel better. That's it. You document what we found, take detailed images, but before anything goes into her official record, we discuss this. We consult with specialists quietly. You cannot be serious, Dr. Wolf said. I'm completely serious. Until we understand what this is, we do not tell the patient. Dr. Kumar, that's her body. She has a right to know. Know what? Dr. Richardson's voice was hard. That she has something we can't explain, can't remove, don't understand. With zero context or treatment options, we protect the patient and this institution. I wanted to scream that I could hear them, that they were talking about my body, but I was trapped, helpless. "Let's close," Dr. Wolf said finally. The next thing I remember is waking in recovery, everything bright, throat hurting. Rachel was beside my bed. "Hey, you're awake, how do you feel?" When I could speak, I asked for Dr. Wolf. She came by 20 minutes later, smiling, professional. "Surgery went very well, found some adhesions like we suspected, removed them. You should heal up fine." I stared at her, searching for any sign of the fear I'd heard. Nothing, just confidence and a reassuring smile. "That's it, you didn't find anything else." "Just adhesions, exactly what we expected." I went home that afternoon. The pain actually got better over the next few weeks, which made me doubt everything. But in July, I got a letter requesting a follow-up MRI at a different imaging center with better equipment. The MRI took almost 2 hours. The radiologist wouldn't make eye contact. When I asked if everything looked okay, he said images would be sent to Dr. Wolf. I never heard back. When I called 2 weeks later, they said everything looked fine. But when I requested copies of the imaging, they said there was a technical issue. That was 8 months ago. I've requested those images 3 times, never received them. The pain hasn't come back. I feel completely normal, but I can't stop thinking about what I heard. Something about me wasn't right, something that made doctors panic and decide to keep secrets. I've thought about getting a lawyer, demanding my records, but then I think, do I really want to know? If there's something inside me doctors can't explain, is my life better for knowing? All I know is I'll never have surgery again unless it's life or death. And I'll never fully trust that what doctors tell you is the complete truth. Your body is supposed to be yours. You're supposed to have the right to know everything about it. But sometimes the people who care for you decide that some truths are too complicated or too uncertain to share. And you might spend the rest of your life wondering what's really inside you.